Coming off an amazing playoff run, we all expected the Atlanta Hawks to be a team that a lot of people weren't going to be able to beat. They are led by one of the best talents and one of the best leaders we have in this game in Trae Young. They have really good complementary pieces around Trae Young, like Bojan Bogdanovic, Kevin Huerter, Clint Capella, John Collins, Cam Reddish, Onyeka Okongwu, Danilo Gallinari. They're a really deep team, and they have a really good coach, man. And we all expected them to be really good this year. And we just knew based off last year's experience that they got in the playoffs, making it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. We all knew this team would be even more exciting and be even more scarier this year. But it did not go as planned. They started off playing terrible all around. Trae Young's playing really bad. Kind of being one of the main victims in the new rules that the NBA placed this year. I know y'all remember like the first 2 months, the NBA was letting a lot of people play real physical. A lot of people weren't getting their calls. Dang. James Harden, Trae Young, they weren't getting their calls, and they was kind of getting exposed for it. But they started to wrap it up, and the calls got taken away. They started making the calls again, and then Trae Young started to hoop. But other than that, John Collins, he was out for literally half of the year. The shooters were not shooting good at all the whole year. Cam Reddish, you had that whole drama with him. Clint Capella was out. Onyeka Okongwu was out. I haven't seen Lou Williams play basketball in a long time. It was a really injury-filled year. And they still ended up making the playoffs. That's a credit to Nate McMillan. That's a credit to Trae Young. Trae Young becoming the first player since I don't know who to lead the league in points and assists. But for them to make the playoffs, and they made the playoffs, and they faced the Heat, and they got completely embarrassed, and it was really disappointing. That's a terrible season. Coming off the season you just had last year, and every single series you had last year, you were the underdog, and you almost won all of them. I'm a firm believer, and I love Giannis. I'm a firm believer. If Trae Young didn't get hurt, the Hawks would have won that series. They just seemed like they were in the driver's seat. And Trae Young just seemed unstoppable. I love Drew Holiday. Y'all know Drew Holiday is one of my guys, but he could not figure out Trae Young. And I felt like they would have made the finals. But this year, it didn't hold up to that standard that they placed last year. So, it got me wondering, what's next for this team? So, the first thing I would do, and I feel like a lot of people agree with this, I would trade Clint Capella. Clint Capella has been really inconsistent this year. And with the arrival of Onyeka Okongwu, I think it's time for Onyeka Okongwu to get the keys at the center position and trade Clint Capella. He's been the better defender out of those two all around. And he actually can do something on the offensive side. A lot of Clint Capella's work is solely off of Trae Young giving him lobs. But Clint Capella, I've seen him giving the ball down in the post. I've seen him get his own lobs. And he's better defensively at this point. He can guard literally every position. They called him the Giannis stopper because he had a really, really good couple of games against Giannis. And he's way better and way cheaper and way younger. So I think that's the first thing they should do. And with Clint Capella, you can get some valuable pieces back. My whole thing with them this offseason is putting real offensive talent around Trae Young. Trae Young has the ball in his hands all the time because they don't really have like real guys around him. I like Bogey, I like Kevin Huerter, but those are like shooter guys. Like my whole thing this offseason for them should be getting real offensive guys that can also get a bucket around Trae Young. So you got a guy like Clint Capella who can give you some pieces out there. A guy like Gordon Hayward and Jeremy Grant are guys I'm targeting. Guys that are 3-and-D wings, but like hybrids at that position that can actually get themselves a bucket. Yes, you have to take on a contract like Gordon Hayward, but Gordon Hayward's contract is only for 2 more years. And Gordon Hayward will come to this team and impact them instantly. A consistent shooter around around Trae. A consistent scorer around Trae. A really good playmaker that allows Trae Young to play off ball. That type of option next to Trae, I keep calling him Clay. That type of option next to Trae will help him out and expand his game more because we all know Trae Young is a really good offensive talent, but he doesn't play all ball. And I don't mind him not playing all ball because he doesn't have somebody that control the ball. A guy like Gordon Hayward can help him play all ball. A guy like Jeremy Grant, like I said, Jeremy Grant is also another guy that can get his own bucket. So putting him next to a guy like Trae that also allows Trae to play all ball, and Jeremy Grant is an even better, way better defender than Gordon Hayward. I would damn near call Jeremy Grant an elite defender. Putting elite 3-and-D wings around Trae should be the main focus of this team this offseason. Another big change in this offseason for the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm also predicting that this will happen, is John Collins finally getting traded. there have been rumors that John Collins wasn't happy with how the Hawks were running the offense and just the team in general being mostly predicated around Trae Young. He felt like he should have had a bigger role. And there's been rumors like this for the last 2 years. So I think it's finally time to trade him. You had a good run, and it sucks because they fit literally so perfect. But the offensive scheme, I guess, for John Collins doesn't let him show his whole repertoire. So I think it's finally time to trade him. And in this trade, you have to make it blockbuster. John Collins is 24-25. I really like John Collins. We seen in the playoffs last year, he stepped it up defensively. He even stepped it up shooting-wise. You have to go out there and make a huge trade with him. And then you compare him with a guy like Kevin Huerter, Bogdanovich, or Bojan. It's one of those guys. You compare him with them. You can even go out there and say, fuck it. If you want to make a real blockbuster trade, pair him with a guy like, what's his name? Jalen Johnson. I forgot his name that fast. You can pair him with a guy like Jalen Johnson and go out there, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Going out there and get a guy like Bradley Beal. I said get a real offensive option next to Trae Young. Bradley Beal is as real as it gets. That sounded wild. He's as real as it gets, man. No cuts in these videos. I don't care. No cuts. You get the real raw. Pause. Yeah. Going out there and training for a guy like Bradley Beal with John Collins would be the first option I'm looking at right now. Bradley Beal is getting a huge contract this offseason, so it's probably going to be out there on the sign and trade, but you can still do that because if I'm not mistaken, John Collins is getting paid $25 million. You pair that up with a guy like Kevin Huerter who's getting paid $14 million. The contracts match right there. They match right there. But getting a guy like Bradley Beal next to a guy like Trae Young, who again allows him to play more off ball, and is a real legit scoring option, like a real. Bradley Beal's an all-star. Goddamn, he's an all-star. Averaged 30 points in the whole season, like a real legit scoring option next to Trae Young is another thing that you really have to look at going into this offseason if you're the Hawks. It's 3 D wings, and it's getting a real scoring option next to Trae Young, and Bradley Beal's it. And I love that trade for both teams. You get like a John Collins, Kevin Huerter. And if you got to throw one more person in, Jalen Johnson for Bradley Beal. And in KCP, throw KCP in there. I love that trade. I love that trade for both teams, man. And then you don't really have to worry about filling the void at the 4 position because DeAndre Hunter can play the 4 position. In my opinion, I think DeAndre Hunter is a natural 4. So you really don't got to worry about filling that void. It's seamless. Lastly, like I said, they need 3-and-D wings. Like, legit 3-and-D wings. A lot of people like to be categorized as 3-and-D wings. No, they need legit 3-and-D wings. The reason why we look at teams like the Pelicans and the Phoenix Suns just have, like, really, really good teams is because they have legit 3-and-D wings. The Pelicans, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall. Like, those are legit 3-and-D wings. You can even categorize Brandon Ingram. Like, that's a hybrid though. But you can even categorize him because he's been really good on defense. The Phoenix Suns, Torrey Craig, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. Those are legit 3-and-D wings. It's time to put real legit 3-and-D wings around Trae Young. They have 2 ways to do that. One, in the draft. Apparently, I looked up like a lot of mock drafts, and they had like 2 first-round picks, which is crazy. Because it's a lot of 3-and-D wings in this draft. You go out there and draft a guy like Jeremy Sohan, who not so much on the 3, but pause. He's a lot on the D. Pause. Like, he is an elite defender coming out of college already. He's an elite defender. Like on some Scotty Barnes shit. You already knew he's going to be an elite defender. That's a perfect pick for them. I think they pick around like 14 to 15. He's definitely going to be around at that time. Even a guy like the guy behind us, Ochai Agbaji, or I don't know how you say his name. He is a legit 3-and-D wing. And he can also score on his own. But he is an elite 3-and-D wing coming out of college. Coming out of Kansas specifically. And then another guy, just throw it out there, Marjon Beauchamp. Again, another 3-and-D wing. Addressing the defense is the main focus, especially in the draft for them. Now, in the free agency, I really like Kevin Knox for them. I'm not going to lie. Kevin Knox minutes in the playoffs, he was hooping, not just on the offensive side, but on the defensive side. So signing him back on a really cheap deal, that should be your first option coming out going into free agency. Other guys that's in this free agency class. Otto Porter. We see what he's doing with the Warriors, being the extra effort guy, but also being another, again, 3-and-D wing. again, that's another thing they got to go for in the free agency and in the draft. They got to find those guys that give effort, or guys who's like Jose Alvarado. We all love Jose because his effort, his tenacity, his energy. Finding a guy like that would be perfect for this team because they don't really have that at all. They don't have that. Like a guy like a Gary Payton, like finding a guy like that to not only put around Trey, but to put around this young team as you're trying to win, you need that. So finding a guy like that, they have to go find that in this draft or in free agency. So going into next season, I feel like the team will be really revamped. I feel like the only two people that are really going to be on this team next year, for sure I can tell you they are, is Trae Young and Onyeka Okongwu. But other than that, they got to make some trades and they got to draft really well. Sorry, really good free agency. I really hope they can get a guy like a Bradley Beal or a Gordon Hayward or Otto Porter, Jeremy Grant, guys like that to put around Trey because like we already seen Trey. We know what he does in big moments. Yes, don't be one of them recency bias guys and see how the Heat took him out of the series. They took him out of the series because he literally, no offense to the other guy, he just doesn't have guys around him like that. He doesn't. So that should be the main option going into this free agency and going into this offseason. Getting real guys around Trae Young because he's ready. The organization is ready. You have the right coach. It's time to get the guys, like the real guys. So that's it for this offseason breakdown. It was a little iffy. I'm sick. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what's up with me. I'm sick. You can hear my voice changing. I'm coughing. I'm stuttering. But that's it for this video, man. Be back with another one. Let me know what team you want me to do. I was thinking about doing the Hornets, not gonna lie, but I feel like I talked about that in my the veteran leadership video I made a couple weeks ago. But other than that, man, that's it for this video. Peace out.